Welcome to one in a series of web-based tutorials for people working with investment package developed by FAO. These tutorials will assist users of RuralInvest with problems that can arise in completing and using the software. They are geared to people who have already attended a formal RIV course or have taken the e-learning course, as they do not provide an overall guide to the use of the RuralInvest package. RuralInvest is designed to assist national technicians working with communities, groups, or individuals who wish to improve their quality of life through local-level investments, whether in activities which will directly generate income, such as irrigation, transport services, or fish farming, or in support areas, such as access roads, water supply, or reforestation. RuralInvest helps the technician to ensure that all investment proposals presented by applicants respond to their real needs, will be sustainable over time, and will be clearly understood by the potential financing source, whether that be a development project, an NGO, or a bank. This tutorial deals with selecting and using units of production and units of sale. The unit of production provides a way of measuring the scale of the production process, while the unit of sale measures the scale of the units sold. These can sometimes be the same, but not always. For example, the unit of production for a fish farm could be a fish pond, while the unit of sale could be an individual fish or a kilogram of fish. Later we will discuss what to bear in mind when selecting your units of production and sale. When first preparing a block, the unit of production must be defined for the software in the appropriate entry box before starting to fill in the other details. The unit of sale will be defined later once you start filling in the section on income for the block. Remember, every block must have a defined unit of production, and it must always remain the same for that block, although different blocks will often have different units of production. This is very important as the computer software will make its calculations on the basis of the unit of production you have defined for that block. Once the unit of production and other characteristics of the block, such as the length of the cycle of production, the number of cycles per year, and the period in which the activities occur, the chronology of production, have been selected, you will then have to insert the number of units of production for each year using the pattern of production. So if the project is for an ecotourism facility, and we select the room as the unit of production, and insert that in the unit of production box, then all direct costs, whether they be electricity, maid service, or breakfast, must then be calculated and entered per room. Of course, indirect costs, also known as fixed costs or overheads, are usually given by time period. Maintenance of the hotel or the cost of the receptionist would normally be per month, as they do not generally change as the number of guests change. Remember, the software will multiply the costs and income for each block by the number of units of production each year. For this reason, it is critical that all costs and income numbers are for a single unit of production. For example, if your unit of production is a dairy cow, you cannot insert costs and incomes for the whole herd, as the software will multiply the numbers you insert by the number of cows you have specified under pattern of production. Let's look now at the first example we mentioned earlier, the fish farm. In this example, we will select the fish pond as the unit of production, so we must inform the software as to how many ponds we will have each year. Imagine the project starts with a single pond. Then, for the first 2 years, the number of units of production will be 1. However, if the fish farm is planned to expand to 2 ponds in the 3rd year, the number of units of production would change to 2 in year 3 onwards. The software will then know that the output per unit of production is multiplied by 1 in years 1 and 2, and by 2 in years 3 onwards. Remember, you cannot change the unit of production within a block once it has been defined. For this reason, it is important to give some thought to selecting the best unit of production. The unit of sale is also important, as it informs the software as to the relation between production and sale. Thus, if the unit of production is a fish pond and the unit of sale is an individual fish, you will have to insert into the software the number of units of sale expected per unit of production per cycle of production. In this case, the number of fish expected to be produced per pond will be 2,000. If the unit of sale is the same as the unit of production, as might well be the case in a factory producing cheese, then remember, if the unit of production is a kilo of cheese, the number of units of sale per unit production must be 1 or less. You cannot sell more than 1 kilo of cheese for each kilo you make. Why is it important to get the unit of production right? The unit of production always stays the same in any given block, and all costs and income data must be expressed in terms of the selected unit of production. RuralInvest users rarely have a problem in defining the unit of production for crops. It is almost always the land area, whether these are hectares, acres, or another locally used land area unit. Farmers are used to talking of yields or fertilizer or seed use per hectare, and so it seems natural to most people to express costs and incomes in terms of per hectare. However, in other cases, the unit of production may not be so obvious. The key to selecting a good unit of production is to choose a unit which is both easy to use and flexible. Let's consider another example, dairy herd. We could define the unit of production for a dairy herd as the entire herd, or per cow, or per litre of milk. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. For a herd, all costs and income must be given per herd, which may be the easiest solution if the herd size remains the same throughout the period being considered. However, if the herd is expected to grow over this period, this can cause problems. Remember, the unit of production cannot change within a single block. So if the unit of production is a herd of 30 cows, the only way to add a cow is to increase the number of units of production from 1 to 1 1/30. This will require a lot of calculations. If the unit of production is the cow, on the other hand, herd growth can simply be shown by increasing the number of units of production in the pattern of production from 30 in one year to 31 in the next. But remember, in this case, all costs and income must then be given per cow. If the selected unit of production is the litre of milk, the calculation can become very tricky. What happens if the milk yield per cow changes over time? Using the litre of milk as the unit of production will only work if the costs and income per litre stay the same over the whole duration of the analysis period. And remember, if the unit of production is the litre, and the unit of sale is also the litre, the number of units of sale per unit of production must be 1 or less. You cannot sell more than 1 litre of milk for every litre you produce. In fact, if there are losses expected, in this context due to spills or spoilage, you may only be able to sell less than 1 litre of milk per litre produced. Remember, the unit of production is so important because the software will make all the calculations using it: scale of production, income, costs. Let's now look at some of the options for the unit of production for different types of rural investment. The unit of production for a rural bus service could be defined as the bus, the route over which it travels, or the passenger. Each one is possible. Using the bus as the unit of production does permit you to easily increase or decrease the number of buses in use each year throughout the production pattern. However, the disadvantage of defining the unit of production as the bus is that the number of passengers per bus would then have to stay the same for the entire period of analysis. If you do not anticipate any change in this number, this may be the easiest solution, as most costs will be calculated on a per-bus basis. Selecting the route as the unit of production is even less flexible, as the service can only grow by adding more routes. You cannot change either the number of buses or the number of passengers over the years. Remember, the costs and income per unit of production must stay the same. Only the number of units of production can change within a single block. Although it may require a bit more work in the calculation, The best option for any transport service, where the number of users is expected to change over time, is probably to define the unit of production as the passenger. This means you must express all costs on a per-passenger basis. But once that is done, it is easy to increase the number of passengers from year to year as the service grows. Furthermore, the unit of sale would also likely to be the passenger, making calculation of income a straightforward matter. For agroprocessing, the unit of production could be defined as the product produced, the production line, or if several products are made, the entire factory. Once again, it is a question of balancing flexibility against the amount of work required. Many costs may be more easily calculated on a per-factory basis, but then growth in production over the evaluation period can only come through increasing the number of factories. A similar problem arises with the use of the production line as the unit of production. Here, of course, it is possible to add additional production lines, which may make sense if future growth is expected to come about through the introduction of more lines. But it will cause problems if you wish to increase output on an existing product line. If the production line is a selected unit of production, expansion will only be possible by adding a second production line, or a fraction of a second line for the same product. In reality, what many processing plants do is calculate their costs on the basis of their product. That is, the unit of production and the unit of sale are the same. Thus, the unit of production and the unit of sale may both be a kilo of butter. Please remember again, however, that in this case it is essential to only indicate a maximum of 1 unit of sale per unit of production, less if not all of the production is sold due to losses or spoilage. The software will multiply the income per unit of sale by the number of units of production you have given it. Finally, let us look at a poultry production operation for eggs. Here, possible options for the unit of production include an egg, 100 birds, 1,000 birds, a hen house, or the entire operation. All could be used as units of production, but some, such as a selection of an egg, would result in a lot of work. How much labor is needed per egg? On the other hand, the entire operation could be selected as a unit of production. But although it may render some of the cost calculations easier, this choice, like in the dairy herd or the production lines, would make changes throughout the production pattern difficult. If the project starts with a complete poultry operation, which grows over time, you would then have to have 1.1 operations in year 2, 1.2 operations in year 3, and so forth. Therefore, in general, the best option is to choose a unit of production which offers the best balance between ease of calculating costs and income, while also readily permitting expansion in future years. For a poultry operation, this would probably be to select 100 or 1,000 birds, depending on the scale of the operation, or per hen house, assuming that the operation consists of several houses. With these units of production, it is relatively easy to calculate costs and income while also allowing for future expansion. If you keep these 2 rules in mind, you should not have difficulty with units of production and units of sale. Good luck.